From COVID scandals to hating his own team, Kyrie Irving has had a rough few years with the Nets, but now it looks like he found a new home, the Dallas Mavericks. After Kyrie Irving requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets ahead of the February 9th deadline, he's getting his wish and heading on down to sunny Texas. It's been announced that he is joining forces with Luka Doncic in Dallas to form one of the most dynamic duos in the NBA today. This move comes as a bit of a surprise, as it was widely believed that Irving would either stay put in Brooklyn or end up back with his former team, the Boston Celtics. But it looks like Irving is ready for a fresh start, and what better place to do that than with a young up-and-coming star like Doncic.
I think it's so fun to play with this guy. He's an amazing basketball player, and I think it's going to be really fun.
The entire deal is actually quite interesting. The Brooklyn Nets agreed to trade Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morrison in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and future draft picks. In the deal, the Nets will receive Spencer Dinwiddie, who is a guard with the Mavericks, averaging 13.5 points per game this season, as well as Dorian Finney-Smith, who is a forward averaging 10.4 points per game this season. The Nets will also receive a 2027 second-round pick and a 2029 first-round pick that is unprotected in the deal. The Mavericks will receive Kyrie Irving in the deal, who is a 6-time All-Star and 4-time All-NBA selection and is a proven scorer.
Curry to Irving, another three on the way. This one falls.
Doncic is averaging 33.4 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists this season, and Irving is no slouch either, averaging 27.1 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 6.9 assists per game. Together, they instantly become a force to be reckoned with, and one that is sure to make waves in the Western Conference.
Hardaway driving, 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Luka, deep three for a 50-piece, and a dagger!
It looks like Irving will make his debut with the Mavericks on February 8 against the LA Clippers, and no doubt he'll bring a new burst of energy to Dallas. Unfortunately for Nets fans, this marks the end of Kyrie's time in Brooklyn, but not without some memorable moments, both good and bad. Kyrie joined the Nets in 2019 with hopes of winning a championship alongside his buddy Kevin Durant, but things didn't exactly go as planned.
It's basketball, so I don't want to overcomplicate it. They came out in the second half and played very aggressive. We had a great control of this game going into halftime.
There was an 8-game suspension earlier this season for a tweet that violated anti-Semitic rules, and he also caused quite a stir when he refused to be vaccinated against COVID-19. But no matter what, Kyrie is sure to make an impact in Dallas, and I can't wait to see him and Doncic light up the court together.
Basketball. Irving knocks that down. That's his first point as a Dallas Mavericks.
But how does this impact Doncic exactly? Well, in a lot of ways. Luka Doncic has been one of the most prolific players in recent memory. His ability to score, create for others, and lead a team is unparalleled. In just his third season, he's already led the Mavericks to 2 playoff appearances and put up some of the craziest stat lines we've seen in years.
Combined 0 for 8 for the floor in OT. There's the first made field goal of overtime to give Luka 58 points.
Unfortunately, Luka has yet to find the perfect sidekick who can help him achieve his ultimate goal of winning an NBA championship. Last season, he had Kristaps Porzingis as his co-star in Dallas, but injuries and inconsistency limited their on-court chemistry. Then there was the Tim Hardaway Jr. experiment, where they tried to put an elite shooter with Luka, but it didn't quite work out as expected.
I mean, it's easy. We talk what he should do. Sometimes he rolls, he pops. But his rolling is really good, even if this.
Luka has also had some trouble finding a good playmaker to take the ball handling workload off his shoulders. He's shown he can do it all, but having a true point guard by his side would surely help him get to the next level. And that's exactly why this trade is a huge win for Luka and the Mavs. With Kyrie Irving coming over to Dallas, they now have one of the most dangerous offensive duos in the league.
Irving over Trey Lyles, and the big guy a little uncomfortable stepping out on Kyrie, and he makes him pay hitting.
With 2 players who can both take over games on their own while fitting perfectly alongside each other, Kyrie's elite offensive ability should take a lot of the burden off Luka, which would allow him to conserve energy and really jumpstart his production down the stretch. He won't have to do as much work himself, since Kyrie can make defenses pay with his handle and pull-up shooting.
Swing, Irving against the big. Irving drives, slicing to the rim for 2, and a foul.
And now that he has a better finisher next to him, Luka should be able to focus more on his passing and playmaking. Plus, with the Mavs now having two top-tier offensive threats, they can stagger minutes more easily than before. That means that when one of them is resting or recovering from an injury, the other will still make sure that Dallas doesn't have any drop-off on offense. It's a perfect situation for both players, and the Mavs should be one of the most dangerous teams in the league going forward.
That you just laid out there.
Look at Anson.
He got here 4 hours before, you said?
The impact of this trade on Kyrie Irving's career could be massive. In the short term, he is joining a Mavericks team that has already proven itself to be a legitimate contender in the loaded Western Conference. He will have an opportunity to build chemistry with Luka Doncic and others with an aim towards making a deep playoff run this season. Kyrie's long-term prospects with the Mavs are even brighter.
Felt really special. Just in terms of the opportunities we had on both ends of the floor to really learn from one another.
As one of the most talented players in the NBA, he will now be paired up with the most gifted offensive weapon in Doncic to form a super team in Dallas for years to come. With both Kyrie and Doncic signed to long-term deals, the chances of this duo helping the Mavericks capture an NBA championship in the near future look very good. On a more personal level, Kyrie will finally have an opportunity to show what he can do as a first option on one of the best teams in the league.
6'11" person, and just for an easy post up.
Irving in the lab. Kyrie.
With the Mavericks, Kyrie can be the leader on and off the court and cement his legacy. But the biggest loser in this entire trade? Kevin Durant. Durant's fantasy outlook might have gotten a bit of a boost with Kyrie Irving out of the picture, as there won't be as many shots for him to compete with, and he could increase his scoring and assist numbers a bit. But Dinwiddie isn't nearly the playmaker that Kyrie is, and the Nets could look to move him before the trade deadline. Even if Durant stays in Brooklyn, he's now playing with a significantly worse supporting cast than he was just a few days ago. With Irving, the Nets had 2 top 10 players. Now, they have 1. That doesn't bode well for Durant's chances of making a deep playoff run. The trade also completely changes the game planning that opposing teams used against the Nets. Before, they had to plan to stop 2 superstars and lots of role players who could make three-pointers at an above-average rate. But now, they can focus solely on Durant and the role players, which obviously puts much more pressure on the former MVP. He might end up having to deal with the same things Doncic had to deal with in the past few months. And then there's the potential of him getting traded himself. The Nets could look to shed salary before they reach the luxury tax threshold now that Kyrie isn't part of their payroll. And if they can find a willing partner that could make the money work, Durant might be on his way out of Brooklyn. He'd have to adjust to a new system and teammates in the middle of a playoff push, which is never easy for any star player. So overall, for now at least, Kevin Durant looks like he's the biggest loser in this trade. Do you think this was the right move for Kyrie? See you in the next one.